with this. So, as I said, I'm Piyush and I'm going to be your main host in the webinar today, but some of you may not know me. So very quick introduction about me. I'm a subject matter expert and a strategy expert at GMAT Quiz. I have been associated with the test prep industry for almost 9 years now. I have worked with most of with people from all kind of backgrounds, people who are struggling in quant, people who are struggling in verbal, people who started from a 500 or even a 300 and ended up achieving good grade scores like 700 plus, 760, all kind of numbers. And over the years, I have gained immense experience in terms of what works and what doesn't work on the GMAT. Right now, I work as a strategy consultant, as I said, at GMAT Quiz, and I help people improve their scores. So that's pretty much about me. How this webinar is structured. So today we are going to first go into understanding and demystifying the silly mistake excuse. See, many people tell at the end of the test that, okay, I got this questions wrong because, oh, I made a silly mistake here. And let me ask you guys a question. How many of you do that? That, okay, you solve a quiz or you solve a mock, and at the end, you see, okay, you haven't scored as well. And the reason that you think is because you're making those silly mistakes. How many of you actually are in this zone? And I'm expecting 100% result on this, to be very honest, because that's something which I hear very, 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 very often from students. Okay, too many times I say yes, always Ruthvi says yes. So that's something which happens all the time. Like, I'm gonna tell you, why is this an excuse? Why is this an excuse, and how can you get rid of it? You need to get rid of it. This is the single most reason why people are not able to improve their score. So you need to get rid of the silly mistake excuse. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the root causes, why you make those silly mistakes, and we'll tell you how can you overcome them. We will also talk about the timing conundrum. There are many times people tell me that, okay, I have the capability of getting the questions right, but it's just that I cannot do it under those 2 minutes. Now, that's another problem which people face. And let me tell you guys, everyone gets 2 minutes on the GMAT to solve the question. If you're not able to do it under 2 minutes, that basically means you're not using the right methodology, okay? And you're not equipped enough to do that. Don't tell yourself that I have the capability of solving it. It's just that I cannot do it in 2 minutes. If you're not able to do it in 2 minutes, definitely there's a problem. We'll talk about what is the problem and how can you solve it. Then we will help you understand how to identify these gaps. So again, based on this this is kind of not very sequential as I'm talking about this. So as we talk about the silly mistake and the timing excuse, we will help you identify the gaps, and then we will in depth go into how to fix these gaps. Okay, and then I'll also touch upon a little bit around timing strategy for quant, because if you're targeting a 50 or a 51 kind of a number, your test taking strategy also needs to be in place. So we definitely need to touch upon that as well. And in the end, I'll open it up for an open-ended Q&A session. Okay, so be with me. If you have any questions apart from the topic that we have at hand today, you can ask those questions at the end in the Q&A part of the webinar. Okay, so this is basically the overview of what we are going to discuss in the main part of the webinar. But very quickly about GMAT Quiz as a platform, I'll just take a couple of minutes to help you understand what is that we do. So we are people who have over 3 decades of experience helping students out from across the globe. And when we were working with some of the top companies across the globe, we kind of had touched upon with more than 20,000 students in this timeline. And when we were speaking with the students, when we interacted with the students as mentors or teachers, we realized that there are certain problems that students face when they prepare for the GMAT. Number one problem that they face is they have to plan their studies themselves. They have to go about thinking how to do, what to do, when to do. All those things are basically upon themselves. They have to do it themselves. And as students, you are not really equipped to do that. In the end, the analysis of your strengths and weaknesses also lies on your shoulder. Now, as a student, you're able to understand some weaknesses which are very much clear in front of you, but there are many other weaknesses which are not as clear to you as a student. So you need help in analysis of the strengths and weaknesses, but that is something which is not provided. There's no individual attention provided, even in classroom programs and the online courses, that people don't get that attention, and that's why they struggle. Now, there are certain companies or courses in the world which are actually trying to solve the problems, but they're just solving the problem partially. For example, people do provide you study plans, but these study plans are very templatized, a 1-month plan or a 3-month plan, very generic plans, and these plans do not adapt as you learn. That's the biggest problem which is there, because most of the people who prepare for GMAT are working professionals, and working professionals have very dynamic work schedules. So sometimes they start off very enthusiastically, but after a couple of weeks, they may not be able to keep up to the pace. Okay. And once things go off chart, if you're following a templatized study plan which does not adapt, it's very difficult for you to adjust to it. Second point, if your weaknesses and strengths are not taken into account while creating the study plan, it is not going to be as effective. In fact, most of the courses out there just share statistics around their weaknesses and strengths, but they do not really tell you how do you work upon them, how do you identify and how do you improve on those areas. So the insights are not very actionable, and the only way to get individual attention is private tutoring, and which is not as affordable for everyone. So these are some problems which I saw firsthand as tutors and mentors, and we really felt bad that, okay, students should not be going through these problems, and all these problems can actually be solved through technology. So we came up with GMAT Viz, and it started in like a couple of years back. And I'm proud to say this, that it's world's only truly personalized course, and it uses artificial intelligence and technology to personalize learning to the next level. And what we have done in the course is we have actually created a platform where you get a personalized study plan, and not just for the sake of saying that it's a personalized study plan, it actually adapts in real time based on what you are and what you need to do. So it's a very, very personalized course which gives you a different course or different content for every single student, and it also gives real-time improvement modules based on what your strengths and weaknesses are. So if you're good in something, the platform will adjust. If you're weak in something, it will give you improvement modules in real time to get you a better understanding of that area. And then if you take the entire program from us, which is the Verbal plus Quant course, you also get assigned a dedicated mentor with whom you can speak every 15 to 20 days. And these mentors are some people who have scored 700 plus themselves on the GMAT and have a great amount of experience in helping students improve their scores. So you can work with these mentors to get your performance and performance assessed and monitored so that they can help you achieve the maximum potential. And because of this personalized offering that we have provided, in the last couple of years, we have been able to become the GMAT Club's most effective course when it comes to average score improvement. Again, this data is slightly dated, but even if I talk about the data as of today, our average score improvement stands at 111 points. Okay, whereas the other competitors' average score improvement is pretty much the same. In fact, I guess TrackVerbal's average score improvement has dropped to, I think, 63 or 57 points, something like this. So you can see the results in front of you. This is because of our artificial intelligence driven course. And I'm proud to say this, that we have been helping students from over 70 countries in this short period of time. We have helped students from all kind of backgrounds to achieve their scores. Again, this was a short overview about GMAT Viz. If you are interested to know more about us, you can always shoot an email to support@gmatviz.com. But with that, let's get into the main part of the webinar. So let's talk about the first excuse, the silly mistake excuse. So we tell ourselves that, okay, I got this question wrong because I made a silly mistake when I was solving this question. But really, how does this go? How does this thing works? Why are you making that silly mistake? That is something which is very, very important. So I'm not going to give a lot of gyan or a lot of random observations or something. What we are going to do today is we are going to solve a good number of questions. And as we solve these questions, we'll take learnings from these questions, because we personally feel at GMAT is that learning is only made effective by actually seeing it in action. So let's do some questions, and I'm going to give you one question at a time. We'll be solving that question together as well. But I would want you to first take a shot at it, and I'm going to give you about a couple of minutes to solve the question at your end, and then we will start the discussion ourselves. All right. So I guess all of you are excited to solve this question. So I'm going to get you the question over here on the screen now. So this is the question which I want you to solve today. And you have the poll available with you. I'm going to be muted for a couple of minutes. Please answer this question, and you have a couple of minutes. Your time starts now, and then we are going to discuss. All the best, guys. Okay, I'm going to end the poll in the next 5 seconds, guys. I've given already 2.5 minutes, I guess, for this question. So here the poll ends now. Okay, so again, you guys can possibly see the response. It's kind of very mixed up. Most of the people are going for A, B, C, D. Very few people have gone for E. That kind of tells that this question seemed to be difficult to a good number of you. But again, the objective is not to solve this question. The objective is to learn something from this question that helps us going forward in the long run. So I'm seeing some comments. Ellie says, I've already made a mistake, misread the setup. Okay, so Ellie, that is something which a lot of people do, and that's why we are discussing this question, and we'll understand why, how can that be avoided. Then that says, will recording be available after the webinar? And that, yeah, you will be getting recording. We were not able to share the recording of some of the last few webinars, but going forward, we will be sharing the recording with all the people who have registered. So you'll be getting the recording in maximum 2 to 3 days after the webinar is over. So Neelam, I'm happy that the webinar, you found this question helpful. So let's quickly look into the question, and I'm going to help you understand how I solve the questions. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how I solve the question. So let me read this first. X is a positive integer. Okay, so what I know is X is a positive integer. Now what are positive integers? Positive integers are nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4 onwards, right? Positive integers basically mean natural number. So what I know is X is a positive integer. This is the information which is provided to me. So I write it down for myself, because I have this habit of missing such points if I don't note it down. So as a habit, whenever I see a constraint, I write it down. And X is not equal to 5. So, okay, so this piece of information tells me that X is not equal to 5. So it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 like that, but it cannot be equal to 5. So I will write it down over here, or I'll write it down like this, but I will definitely highlight it for myself so that I don't miss out on this point. Now, what else is asked for me or given to me? If x to the power 5 minus 9x to the power 4 plus 14x cube divided by x minus 5 is less than equal to 0, how many values are possible for x? Now, when I read this, I kind of see that there is a quadratic expression, or like there's an expression with multiple powers of x, and I know that it is an inequality, and I'm asked for the possible values of x. So first thing which I will try to do is simplify this particular expression. So let me write it down over here first. Okay, just give me a second, guys. So it says x to the power 5 minus 9x to the power 4. Okay, pardon my handwriting. Yep. So 14x cubed divided by x minus 5 is less than equal to 0. So this is what is given to me. Now, what I know here is, what I can see here is from the numerator of this expression, I can take x cubed common. So what I'm left with is basically this thing. Okay, so this is what I'm left with it. Now, whenever I see something on the bottom of a quadratic expression, it is better if I can cancel it out in any way. And I can see that on top of the numerator, basically we have a quadratic expression. So I'll try middle term factorizing it. I'll see if I can do that. So if I look at 14 is the product of the roots. So it can be expressed as 14 into 2, or it can be expressed as, 7 into 2, or it can be expressed as 14 into 1. Now, 9 has to be the sum of the roots, right? So that is possible with 7 and 2, but not possible with 14 and 1. So probably I need to break it down as 7x minus 2x plus 14. Again, I am just, for the sake of explaining, I'm doing all this in depth. Otherwise, I probably will jump a step here generally. But still, like, just to explain, I'm doing this. So if I do this factorization properly, I will be able to get something like this. X minus 2 multiplied by x minus 7 divided by x minus 5 is greater than equal to 0. Now, whenever you have a quadratic inequality, or inequality in general, where you have to find the range of x, okay, first step that you have to do is you have to factorize the expression in every like in terms of like in various factors. So first thing is factorization, and then you have to plot the 0 points on the number line. Now, what are 0 points? 0 points can be identified by comparing each expression with the format x minus a, each factor rather, with the format x minus a, where a is your 0 point. Okay, basically if you do that, they will get the 0 point. So for example, over here I have some factors like x cube is one factor, x minus 2 is one factor, x minus 7 is one factor, x minus 5 is one factor. Again, I'm getting a little more in depth. The objective is not to teach how to solve this question, but I'm just helping you understand how to do this in case you're not aware of this. So in this case, the 0 point, we will talk about it later on. In this case, the 0 point is 2, because if I compare with x minus a, it is 2. In this case, the 0 point is 7. In this case, the 0 point is 5. Okay. Now, in case of x cube, what I can do is simply write it as x squared multiplied by x. Now, why am I doing that? Because x squared is always positive. It will not have any effect whatsoever on the sign of the expression. So I can write x cubed as x because x squared is always positive. Now, if I compare it with x minus a, I know that the 0 point is 0 here itself. So the next work for me is to express this entire expression on a number line. So I'm just writing this again for your reference. So this is what we know. And I know there are 4 0 points that I have. First is 7. The second 0 point is 5. Okay, that is the second 0 point. The third 0 point is 2. And the fourth 0 point is 0. So these are the 4 0 points that we have. Are you guys clear till this point? Let me ask you in a poll. Are you guys clear till this point? Quick yes, no, guys. Just want to make sure that all of you are clear till this point. And more importantly, my pace is okay with you guys. That's what my main idea is, because again, I'm not getting into the depth of the concept here, because the idea is to focus on the strategy part here. Okay, great. I see a lot of votes. Please, all of you feel free to vote on this. More than 95% people are sure about this. That is great. So let's continue moving forward. So we have already plotted the 0 points. Now, according to the concept, this expression will always be positive on the rightmost part of the number line. It will always be positive. If you take any value which is greater than 7, or even like greater than 7, it will always be positive. That is something we can say for sure if you follow this methodology. Again, I'm not explaining why it is so, but this is how it works. To understand why it is so, we have covered in our course. You can understand that. And then it will alternate the sign in the other ranges. So it will be negative if you take a value of x between 5 and 7. It will be positive here as well. It will be negative here, and then it will be positive on the rightmost side as well. Okay. Now, so this is how we draw the number line, and then we understand what is the value of that expression in each of these regions. Now, what I also know is, for me, the favorable region is when x is either 0 or let's say less than 0. So it's either negative or 0. So that is the favorable region for me. So if you look at the favorable region on this number line, you'll see that this is one favorable region and this is another favorable region for us. Okay, so these are two favorable regions that we have on this number line. All right, guys. So understand that x can, in this case, be either 5, 6, 7 from this range, because see, we have an equality here. Whenever you have an equality, that means we can always have this expression equal to 0. And at this 0 point, the expression is exactly equal to 0. So I'll include 5 and 7, because at 5 and 7, the equation will be equal to 0. Okay, and don't worry about 5 as of now. Don't rush into it. This is how I'm approaching it step by step. I'll ignore the constraints after this. Okay, I'll ignore the constraints. So first region there, x can be 5, 6, 7. Over the from the second region, I know that x can be 0, 1, or 2. These are 6 values which seem to be possible. Okay, Govindam, you're right, and that's what I said, that we will need to exclude the constraint. Okay, we'll need to exclude. So constraints were x is a positive integer and x is not equal to 5. So x can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, but it cannot be 5. So if I look at this, I know that 5 is not a possible answer, but I also know that 0 is also not a possible answer. Okay, so the total number of values of x are 4. So C is the correct answer, guys. C is the correct answer. Now, a good number of you marked D as the correct answer as well. Those of you who marked D as the correct answer definitely missed one of the constraints. You would have probably ignored x equal to x not equal to 5, or you ignored the fact that x is a positive integer. You also considered 0. So those of you who marked 5 as the answer either considered 0 or 5 in the solution because you did not read the question stem properly. Okay, Ellie has a very important question. Ellie says, why the region 2 and 5 is excluded? Ellie, see the sign of the expression in that region. It is positive, and the question is asking us the range of x for which the expression is negative. Okay, that's why we are excluding it. That's the same reason why we are excluding 7 to infinity and 0 to minus infinity. Okay, so let's just focus on that part. So those of you who did not read the question stem properly made a silly mistake. Second mistake, a good number of you also marked the answer as 2. Now, who would have marked the answer as 2? People who actually thought that, okay, they only considered 1 and 6 could have marked the answer as 2, because you did not look at this equality sign over here, that it is written that this is the equality as well. This expression can also be equal to 0. Kareem, I already explained why the answer is 4. The 4 values which are possible are 6, 7, 1 and 2. Okay, so these are the 4 values possible. If you mark 2 as the correct answer, you probably only looked at 1 and 6. You did not consider 2 and 7 because you probably missed the sign of equality. Okay, so that is another error which you would have made. People who marked B as the correct answer, again, I'm not sure why you could have gotten to that, but people who marked E as the correct answer would have missed both the constraints over there. So my question to you guys is, why did you make a mistake in such a simple question? Again, I'm making it simple by making it following a methodical approach. But why did you make a mistake in this question? What do you think? Why did people make a mistake in this question? Can you guys let me know in the comments? I've already told about it, but I just want to hear it from you as well to ensure that the point has gotten across. Why do you think people made a mistake in this question? And if you made a mistake, why do you think you made the mistake? Let's see your responses before you move forward. Okay, Harsh says, I missed the constraints. Okay. Well, who else? Balji Duram says that I missed equality sign. Okay, missed the range 0 to 2. Sudhanshu says, okay, I missed the constraint, x is positive, did not read the question stem properly is what Gautam says. Deepak says, not following proper organized method to solve the question. Okay, miss the inequality sign. Okay, Gitika. So see, again, remember this part. Whenever you are making such mistakes, these are not silly mistakes, guys. If you tell yourself that, okay, you're making a silly mistake, this time I miss this, next time I will not, I will try to remember that I don't miss it, it's not gonna work out. Whenever you are making a silly mistake, the reason for that is you are not focusing on the question enough. You're probably not reading the question stem properly. That's one of the biggest reasons. Those of you are saying, I missed this inequality sign, I missed this constraint. That's something which is very, very, very important. Please make sure you don't do that. Common problems that people do is that they will miss constraints and they will sometimes assume things as well, which are not provided in the question. Please be aware of them, especially when it's about constraints. As you saw, I jot down the constraints and I considered them once again when I'm marking the answers. So if you're making mistakes with constraints, make it a habit that you jot down the constraints and you consider them once again while marking the final answer. Just look at them quickly so that you don't end up making this mistakes which you call as silly mistakes. Okay, so I guess this question helped. So let's quickly get on to the next question that we have today. Again, DS question. So the standard option choices are there, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes max. Simple enough question. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to solve this, and then I'm going to start speaking. So I'll be muted for the next 2 minutes, guys. All the best. Guys, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds before I end the poll. So please post your responses if you haven't done so yet already. Okay, so now I'm gonna end the poll. So guys, again, as you can see probably the results on your screen. Good number of you went for choice E, 50% approximate E, and then the good number of you were split between A and C. Okay. Balzir Tulam says it was A. Ajita says C. I was not able to mark the answer. No worries, Ajita. That's fine. Like anyway, this is for your personal. Like this just to see which ones are the most popular ones. But yeah, so let's look at this question now. So guys, I talked about one important aspect in the last question, which was missing constraint. I'm gonna talk about another very important aspect, which is assuming things. Let's see this. Okay, so I'm gonna solve this question with you, and let's see how I'm solving it. I want you to focus on this and understand the approach overall. Okay, so how many people in town X read neither the newspaper, World newspaper, nor the Globe newspaper? Okay, so it talks about town X, and it asks that how many people don't read World newspaper, so no World and no Globe. So people don't read this. Again, you can write it in multiple ways. You can write it like this. You can write it in form of sets or whatever you want. But the idea is I want to find out how many people are not reading both World and Globe. Neither this nor that. So both of them, they're not reading these two newspapers. Now, one thing that I ask myself is, do I know how many newspapers exist in the town X? Can you guys tell me that? Do we have information? Let me ask you ask that in a poll. Do we have that information? How many newspapers are there in town X? Do we have that information provided in the question stem? Quick yes, no, guys. Do we have that information provided in the question stem? Think and answer. And those of you who say yes, please let me know. How do you know it is provided? What information is provided? Please let me know in the chat. Those of you are thinking that there is some information provided about how many newspapers are there. Let me know. What is the information provided? And why do you think so there is information provided about that? Okay. And guys, you have to be very careful with such things. See, in quant, they set these traps for you. They want you to focus on certain aspects. And there are many such questions which I can show you. Even if I don't focus on a question for some time and just take it lightly, I also end up missing those small aspects and I end up assuming things. So I'm glad to see that 90% of you say that there's no such information being provided. But there are still 10% people who say that there is an information provided. So sadly, there's no information about how many newspapers are there. It just tells us, it just asks us how many people don't read two newspapers, right? I don't know whether there are two newspapers, three newspapers, 4, 5, whatever. Okay, so Karim says, now I know what I assume for me to put the choice as A. Yes. In fact, if I look at this choice A is the most popular choice, in fact, by most of the people, around 31% of people, and this is the data which I'm bringing up from GMAT Club, around 31% people end up marking choice A. In fact, today also 28% people marked choice A. When I say most popular, I mean apart from the actual answer. So this is one mistake which people do. So never ever assume. Read carefully and don't assume while reading. That's a very important lesson. So I don't know how many newspapers are there. Now, what does statement 1 tell me? Statement 1 tells me that out of the 2,500 people, so if I draw a Venn diagram kind of a thing, out of the total 2,500 people, there are 1,000 people who don't read any newspaper. So if there are, let's say, 10 or 5 or 10, whatever number of newspapers are there, all I know is 1,000 people don't read any of them out of 2,500. But the question asks me how many people don't read World and Globe. But this tells me about 1,000. So that is 1,000 is a subset most likely of the answer. But I don't know what is the exact answer. I cannot find it. So A is definitely incorrect. Okay. So good, that's only I've realized the mistake. Please make sure that you don't repeat it. Never ever assume. And there are many times this happens. In fact, that's the very reason that in GMAT Viz course, at every part of the course, like every concept booster lesson, we have detailed methodical solutions where we'll teach you which are the common traps that GMAT sets you in which kind of questions, so that you kind of get used to those traps and you kind of start avoiding those traps by default. So that's a very important lesson. So please keep that noted in your notebook. So what I know is A is definitely not enough. A just tells me that there are 1,000 people. So I choice statement 1 just tells me that 1,000 people which are outside. Now let's look at statement 2. What does it tell me? It tells me that out of the people in town X, 700 people read the globe and 600 people read world. So this is world and this is globe. What I know is 700 people read globe only and 600 people read world only. But I don't know about anything about the total number. I don't know anything about the total number. I don't know anything about this number. So I cannot really subtract this 2 from the total number and find the answer. Because if I have to find the value of this region, which is outside these two, I need the total number of people. And I also need to know how many people read both W and G. So these two pieces of information are missing. Okay, now I'm coming to why people marked choice C as the answer. Those of you who marked choice C did not draw the right inferences from the second statement, that in order to get the answer, I don't just need to know the total, I also need to know the common area which is between the two. That is also required, because unless I know that region, I cannot subtract it from the total and get the answer. So even if you combine both the pieces of information, what you know is the total is 2500, but you don't know what is the common area over here. You know there are 1000 people as a small part of this or equal to this, but you cannot exactly do anything with this 1000 piece of information. What you can do is with 2500, you can minus 600 and 700. But what about this region? This region is something you're not sure of. So we cannot combine the pieces of information as well and come to the answer. Okay. So never ever assume anything, guys. Make sure that you draw the inferences properly. And if you assume things, that's where you make the blunders. This was a very, very simple question. If you had not assumed anything, you would have gotten it right. And trust me, guys, the biggest reason why you make those mistakes is because you try to save a lot of time just by going through the question quickly. Okay, and I talked about one area, which is not reading the question stem quickly, questions properly. But I'll also talk about two more mistakes, very common mistakes which people make. Another big mistake that people make is they do not draw the right inferences from the question stem. They jump too soon into answering the question. And guys, let me tell you one thing, like as a teacher, trust me, I spend about 30 to 40% and sometimes 50% of my time, entire time that I use to solve the question, on just reading the question and thinking about my direction. And then it's very, very easy for me. And it's very, very easy for me to solve the question in the rest of the time. And how most people solve it is, most people who make mistakes or most people who solve it is, they try to save time. They cut corners on the question. They do not read the question stem properly. Or even if they read it, they will try to jump too soon into solving the question. And that's when they make mistakes. So first think about the direction. So another common mistake is they don't draw the right inference. They jump too soon into solving the question. And then people make a lot of calculations errors as well. Okay, we're going to talk about these things as well, but let me take up Ajita's question. Ajita, I've already answered this, but I'm still taking your question. So 2500 minus 1000 is 1500. Now this 1500 has GW and maybe some other newspaper. Is it like this? Yeah, Ajita, yeah, we can say that, yes. So it's GW or some other newspaper, commonality, whatever it is, but I don't know what it is. So I do not have the information to infer this. And to simplify for you, all you need to, if you actually did the analysis of the second statement properly, that I don't know what is the common region, there's no clarity about this part of what values lies here, you would not have marked C as the answer. Okay, so this is what you missed, nothing else. And that's what you need to take into account. Okay. Yeah, so let's solve another question, and from this question we'll learn a very, very important lesson once again. So again, another DS question in front of you guys, and I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to solve this one as well. Simple question again, so all the best, and I'm gonna be muted for a couple of minutes. The standard choices for DS, you probably know that by now. Akshita is asking how to remember the question stem. Any tips? Akshita, the question stem is always there on your screen. You don't need to remember it. The key pointers I note down on my notebook when I'm solving the question. The key pointers, not everything, okay? So the constraints and the common elements which I miss. And I'll talk about it later on as well. So I'm going to be muted and you guys have 2 minutes to solve this question right now. All the best. ending the poll in 10 more seconds, so please respond to the poll if you haven't done so. Okay, so I am gonna end the poll now. All right, so how was this question, guys? So LA, the answer to the second question, not this one, the second question that we solved, that is what you were asking, was option E. Siddhant is asking, where are you located? Siddhant, I'm located in Gurgaon, if that is what you're asking. Yes, Gurgaon, India. Okay, how was this question, guys? I just want to see your responses. Again, most of you went for choice C. You feel that combining the two pieces of information, we can get the answer. 52% of you have gone for that. Second popular choice is choice B. 23% people say that statement 2 alone is sufficient. Then a good number of you have went for choice A, which says, who say that, okay, if I know the first statement alone, that is sufficient to answer the question. Few of you have gone for D and E. Harsh says need a lot of inferencing. Okay, very simple question, Harsh. Actually, I won't use the word a lot, but yeah, it is just that you have to do inferencing. If you don't infer, and that's the cue there. To be very honest, guys, I've actually made your life very simple. I've given on the top, the title itself says what is there in the question. You have to just infer properly. If you infer properly, it's very easy. Very simple inferences can make your life easy, to be honest. Ayushi says tricky but easy. Okay, good, Ayushi. Happy to know that you found it easy. What about others? Like, just see two responses, Harsh and Ayushi. Others have also solved it. What about you guys? And please, let's make it interactive. I don't want it to be a one-way communication. I just want to make sure that we are interacting, we are talking and improving together. Okay. I don't see any other response. Okay, and that says easy peasy, but the Duram says confused, kind of understanding the second shirt is sold at cost price. Good point, Harsh. Yes, that's the most important thing. Govindam says not sure about the question difficulty level. Depends on if I'm right. SK says yes. Yeah, I totally agree. That happens. And let me tell you guys, this question is not really tricky. It is not really difficult, but it could be tricky if you're not inferencing. So B and C are the most popular choice. In fact, from the GMAT club data, when I look at the GMAT club data for this question, which is recording data for thousands of students, we see two popular choices as choice B and choice C. Okay, 45% people go with choice C. In fact, today also more than 50% people went with choice C. Very few people went with choice B, and B is actually the correct answer. And don't worry, I'm going to solve this question. I just want to tell you that if you do not infer properly, even a simple, and if I tell you that this question is actually, when I look at this question, I was thinking, okay, this should be a 600 level question. It's so simple. There's no complexity involved in this question. But if you don't infer from it, this 600 level question can easily become a 700 level question also, because that's what the answer tells me. Right? So let's solve this question together. It's very important to do the pre-analysis, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Okay, Harsh, this is, as far as I remember, this is an official question. Okay, most of the questions that you see today are official questions or derived from an official question. Let me put it that way. We might have changed the numbers or the scenario here and there, but very similar to the official ones. So let's read this. At a certain clothing store, customers who buy 2 shirts pay the regular price for the first shirt and a discounted price for the second shirt. Okay, so I know that every customer, when I say customers who buy 2 shirts, every customer who buys 2 shirts pay the regular price for the first shirt. So let's call the regular price as, let's say, marked price. That's basically more likely the price which is on the label. Okay, and the discounted price as, let's say, let's use some selling. Let's use MD for it. Okay, or let's use MD for it. Okay, so discounted price. And what I know is the first shirt goes for the marked price and the second shirt goes for the discounted price. This is the information which is given to me till now. And when I'm going to solve this question, I'm going to definitely exactly follow it this way. Okay, I see some people saying there's some problem with the audio. I just want to ensure that my audio is clear to all of you guys. So please respond to this poll if my audio is loud and clear. I want to ensure that whatever I'm speaking gets to you at least. So please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. If there is a problem with my audio, let me know. because I kind of seem to have a very good internet connection, and it shows that my signal strength is also good enough. So, okay, saying a breaking, the voice is breaking. Just give. Let me ask you a poll now again quickly. Can you hear me clearly? I just want to make sure that now my voice is audible, because I have tried to get back to the same network which I was using earlier. Okay, so let me know if you guys can hear me now. I have a poll up. I see most of you are saying yes, we can hear you. So I guess there was some issue with the software also, I'm not sure. So I'm going to repeat this part from where you might have missed it. So I'm going to redo this entire thing. Again, it is taking a little more time than usual, but yeah, this is something which I did not predict. Anyway, so I am happy that you guys can hear me now. So let's get going again. Let's solve this question quickly. So yeah, so what I know is that the first product is the cert is sold at the regular price, which I'm using at M as M, and the second product is sold at the discounted price, which I'm writing at, let's say, X. Okay. Then I know that the store makes the same profit from a sale of 2 shirts. So obviously I'm talking about profit. So let me use another variable, which is cost price, which is C. So I know the profit from the sale of 2 shirts. Now, what is the selling price of the 2 shirts? First product is sold for X. First shirt is sold for M, sorry. And second shirt is sold for X minus the cost price of 2 products. This is the profit from 2 products, right? So this is the profit from 2 sales. 2 shirts, sale of 2 shirts. This is same as the profit made by the sale of 1 shirt at the regular price. 1 shirt at the regular price. The regular price is M. So this is same as M minus C. Okay, so I can write this. Now, if you reduce logically, you may not need to write this, but yeah, still let's do it mathematically also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring everything to the left-hand side of the equation. Let's do that. And I can see M gets cancelled. What I know is X minus C is equal to 0, or in simple terms, X is equal to C. So this X is equal to C itself. So the second shirt is basically sold to the like the student, not the student, to the customer at the cost price. Ayushi is saying, is the screen paused? Guys, can you tell me if you guys can see my screen or not? Neelam is saying, I can't hear you. Okay, this is going really crazy. I'm not sure why this is happening. My network is not this bad generally. Has to do something with the things going in Delhi NCR today, maybe. Okay, I see I'm getting a 65 Mbps speed. Nothing speed also is great. I'm not sure why this is happening. Okay, so I can see that most of you can still hear me. Okay, guys, so those of you who are not able to hear me, please try rejoining. That might help you guys. Okay, good. It's fine. So this is the inference that I can draw. So what I'm saying here is that let me ask you this question. How many of you drew this inference when you were solving this question? Okay, how many of you drew this inference? Let me get you a poll also here. How many of you drew this inference, guys? When you read this question for the first time? Okay, when you read this question for the first time, how many of you drew this inference? Please be honest with me. Before even going to statement 1 and statement 2, how many of you drew this inference? Please be honest with me. I have the results with me. Very few people actually marked B, which is the correct answer. And if you actually drew this inference, you would have definitely got the answer right. Okay. So Govindam, the equation is simple. First thing is that the profit from the sale of 2 shirts, we have calculated that the first product goes for M, the second one goes for X, and the cost price of the products is same. So it is 2C, which is equal to M minus C, which is equal to the profit from the sale of 1 shirt at regular price. So just read this and then you can simplify it further. Okay, Ellie and one more person had this question, Deepak, that how can we assume that the cost of the shirt is same? Now guys, what you need to understand is I'm talking about a certain clothing store. I'm talking about customers who buy 2 shirts, pay the regular price for the first shirt. I'm talking about every customer. I'm talking about shirts overall. I am not differentiating between the shirts that they are buying. All I'm saying is that everyone who buys 2 shirts get a first shirt at a regular price and the second shirt at a discounted price. So overall, it's for sure that the shirts have the same cost price. That is what we can easily assume because it's something which is there for every single person who is buying it. Okay, that is something which you can infer from there. Getting my point? And we're talking about the sale of one shirt at the regular price. I'm saying the sale of one shirt, if you read this part also, that it makes from the sale of one shirt at the regular price. So I'm taking every shirt as the same. I'm not differentiating between the shirts. Otherwise, there's no point in saying the statement. The statement doesn't make sense. Okay, so it's not assuming, it's inference and deduction basically. Yeah, good point, Govindam. You're right in saying that the inference and deduction is the key here. Okay, so the CP is same. That is something we are not assuming, it's something which can be inferred from this. Okay, now what is the question asking me? The question is asking me, for the customer who buys 2 shirts, what is the discounted price of the second shirt? So in simple terms, they're asking me the value of X or C. They're simply asking me the cost price. Okay, so Ruthvi is saying, is this a 600 level question? Ruthvi, if you infer this X equal to C properly, it becomes a very simple question. It actually becomes a 600 level question because there's hardly any calculation, hardly anything that needs to be done. But since this inference is not easy to draw, most people do not spend enough time on drawing this inference. That's why this becomes a difficult question. Now let's solve this question quickly. Statement 1, what does it tell me? It tells me that the regular price of each of the 2 shirts that the customer buys at the clothing store is $16. So it tells me that M is equal to $16, but it does not give me any information about C or X. Then it basically does not give me any answer, right? So A cannot be, the statement 1 is not sufficient. Okay, so Harsh, again, there are multiple ways of solving this question. In fact, if I logically think about the original sentence, it says that the profit made from 2 shirts is equal to the profit made from 1 shirt at the regular price. And I know that for 1 shirt is being sold at the regular price, even if someone takes 2 shirts, logically from there itself, I can deduce that the second shirt, the business or the clothing store is not making any profit whatsoever. That basically means the second shirt is sold at the cost price. Even without writing any equation, I can infer that. But I want it just to be mathematically shown to you, so that's why I wrote this equation. Okay, so this is something which you can look at. Now, second, let's look at second statement. Second statement says the cost of the clothing store for each of the 2 shirts the customer buys is $12. So I know that each of the 2 shirts is sold at $12. So basically the cost price itself is $12 is something that I can know from here. All right, guys. So if I know that the cost of the 2 shirts is $12, C cost price is $12, I get the answer right away. I know the cost price. I know X already. That is basically same as X. So my answer is $12 from statement B itself, so statement 2 alone. So if 1 is not enough, 2 is enough, I don't need to read any further. B is the correct answer. Okay, so this is a simple enough question if you're able to infer from the question stem. So remember always, guys, you need to draw inferences from the question stem before you move on to the options overall. All right, so I saw that only 40% people drew this inference and 60% of you did not draw this inference, and that's where the problem lies. Please make sure that in DS questions, you always spend time on drawing the inferences from the question stem. Now let's talk about how to work on skill gaps. Again, a lot of people have, these are skill gaps that I'm talking about, that, okay, if you are, let's say, not good in certain skills. So think of it like this, that what are skills? People focus on concepts that, okay, I'm not good in permutation combination, I'm not good in geometry, I'm not good in inequalities. But very few people think about skills. Skills are something which are over and above concepts, which are applicable across concepts in multiple concepts. And those things also need to be highlighted. So if you have skill gaps, it is very important that you work on specifically improving those skill gaps. And the skill gaps was similar to what I talked about. For example, not inferring from the question stem, not simplifying the question stem, not using like considering all the cases. All those things are skill gaps. So how do you work on the skill gaps? The idea is, first thing you need to do is identify the skill gaps that are there. Some people are not good at something, some people are good at some other thing. So you please need to make sure to understand this. If you're a GMAT student, it will be visible on your dashboard itself. You can check it from the dashboard. If you're not a GMAT student, you need to maintain an error log and identify the skill gaps yourself. Once you have identified the skill gaps, what you need to do is create customized quizzes. Take 10 to 15 questions per quiz and create customized quizzes. Take relevant difficulty level of questions and take these quizzes to improve your skill gaps over there. Focus when you're solving these questions, focus on those skills properly. And this will only happen when you review the solution in depth, review all the solutions and identify better methods. This is very, very important. Match your understanding properly. And this is an iterative process which needs to be continued sometimes once or twice or thrice as well, unless you improve that skill gap. Now, this is how you need to improve it. But if you're a GMAT student, you can easily identify this on the dashboard itself. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. On the dashboard, you can go to the quant section, basically after logging in. So you will see that we tell you the modularized course and the quant skills over here. So you see that this student is weak only in one skill, which is considering cases. So he's not taking into account all the cases that are supposed to be considered, but he's utilizing the constraints properly. All those things are utilizing constraints are also is slightly low, and utilizing constraints, considering cases is something which has to do a lot with DS questions. If you're not good in considering cases, you're not considering cases properly, you might as well get stuck at DS questions. So this is very, very important. You can understand it from the dashboard itself. Okay, so this is something you definitely need to work upon. Now, I talked about inference, importance of inference. I talked about the idea of not reading the question stem properly. Let us talk now about the calculation mistakes, that why people make those calculation mistakes. And those of you who are not GMAT student, if you want to experience the GMAT product, you can actually do so by using this link. I've just sent the link in the chat here, guys. So if you want to do that, you can always do it. But let's talk about the next aspect, which is the calculation errors. Now, most of the times when we do calculation errors, we do simple calculation errors, like, for example, 2 multiplied by 3 is 5. This is one mistake which I always used to do as a student many a times, like such simple, silly mistakes. I will never get 21 multiplied by 39 incorrect, but 2 multiplied by 3, sometimes I might write as 5. Then I sometimes mark the wrong answer. For example, the question is asking for the value of y, and when I'm solving the question, I'm getting to x plus y. I'm getting the value of x plus y first, and I see that in the option, and I quickly end up marking that instead of actually marking the value of y. So I did all the hard work, but still got it wrong. And then sometimes it can happen due to conceptual errors as well. For example, sometimes a to the power x plus a to the power y, some people write it as a to the power x plus y. This could be because of conceptual errors. Now, what you need to understand is that this conceptual errors are something that can be easily overcome if you go through the concepts again. But these two things are more of a habit that you need to improve on. And the good thing about this is the easiest problem to overcome. This is the easiest one to overcome. All you need to do is spend 10 seconds extra on the question. And I'm not saying, I should not even say the word extra. It's like you have to be careful with those simple calculations that you are doing. Just make sure that you are doing that, because even if you get one extra question wrong, that can cost you easily 10 extra points on the GMAT. Okay, guys? So this is something which can be solved very easily. It's just about habit. Let's come to the next topic then. So what about timing conundrum? Many people say that, okay, I am able to solve the questions, but when it's under time pressure, I'm not able to get them right under the time pressure. So let's understand what is the problem behind this. Okay, so I'm gonna give you another question to solve, and then we are gonna discuss this. And this is a PS question. So I'm gonna give you the answer choices in the poll, and you will have 2 minutes to answer this question, guys, with you. So here is the poll. I'm going to be muted for a couple of minutes, and you can solve the question in 2. You have to. Okay, I'm ending the poll in next 5 seconds, guys. Okay, I'm ending the poll now. All right, guys. So, guys, how did you find this question? Was it doable in 2 minutes? What do you think? Was it doable in 2 minutes, guys? Quick answers in the chat here. How did you find this question? Was it tricky? Was it difficult? Was it doable in 2 minutes, guys? What do you think about it? Let me know in the chat here. Okay, Deepak says yes, it was doable. Let me make the chats public as well. Archit says yes, sub 600 level. Yup, SK says. Again, the responses are pretty scattered between C, D, and E. Okay. Yes, too much time for testing. Most of you are saying yes. Okay, it was doable in 2 minutes. Okay, good. But see, many a times, I don't see a lot of you responding to this. Harsh says trial and error. Okay, you don't have to do trial and error, Harsh. Doable provided you know the pattern. So good point, Sudhanshu. If you know the method, it's definitely doable. And guys, what I'm gonna do is generally what I do is I kind of explain the question as I solve it also. But for this question, I'm gonna take a different approach. I'm gonna explain this, but in the second iteration. In the first iteration, I'm gonna solve this question right in front of you as a student myself, and you can check out the timer. You can time me and you can see if I can do it in 2 minutes or not. And this is one question which I have not done in the last about 4-5 months at least. Okay, so it's kind of a fresh question for me as well, so that way I'm not biased on this, and I'm not gonna explain as I'm gonna solve it, but I'm definitely gonna solve this question, and you guys can time me. Okay, so I then explain it to you as well in another screen from the scratch, so don't worry about that. Okay, so you guys can time me if you want, and I'm gonna also time myself very quickly. So I'm just waiting for a timer to start. So it starts now. Okay, let me solve this. So this is what I have with me. Again, if I were doing it with my own pen, that would have been better. So this is 76 plus 2x. I need a multiple of 3. So x is equal to 1 is one option. If x is equal to, yeah, so the answer is 5. Okay, and I did it in 2 minutes 8 seconds. Okay, again, I got stuck at a point. It took a little longer, definitely, than I usually do. And as I said, I have been a lot rusty. I've not solved this question in the last 4 months, and I've not practiced quant in quite a lot of time. So even then, I was able to solve this question in 2 minutes and 8 seconds exactly, even after getting stuck at a particular point. The reason was very simple, that I knew how to exactly do it, and Sameer has really pointed it out there. So see, the simple thing is that in such questions, what you need to do is, these are special equations. And I'm going to explain this to you very quickly first, but let's go in step-by-step fashion. So first thing I know is if x and y are positive integers. So I know that x and y both are positive integers. So they are 1, 2, 3, and so on. So they are 1, 2, 3 or natural numbers. Basically, 0 is not possible. They're not negative. Second thing I know is only one equation is given to me, and I'm asked how many possible values of x are there. Okay, that is what is known to me over there. Okay, so the mistake that I made right now, I'm realizing again, this is something which I did it in hurry. So I was writing 76 plus 5x. So see, this is another common mistake which many people do. They don't change the sign. So I should have changed the sign to minus 5x. And if I did that, I could have solved this question in less than 1 minute. I'm 100% sure about that. But anyway, this happens. So I know that there is only one equation which is given to me, and I have this constraint. Generally, people say that I have to find how many values of x are possible. People think that it cannot be determined because we have just one single equation and you don't have two equations. So good number of people end up marking E as the correct option very quickly. Don't make that mistake. In some cases, if there are additional constraints which are provided, you can definitely get to the answer even without another equation. Okay, it is possible to get to the answer. Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's solve this. So how do you do that? In that case, what you always do is you always try to find one possible solution that if you want to do it by trial and error, that you can do. For example, in this case, I had to resort to trial and error because I made a simple mistake of using this as plus instead of minus, which was probably I tried to go too quick on it. But anyway, so what you do is you keep one variable on the left side, which is having the smaller coefficient, which is 3y. And then you try to make this part a multiple of 3, because you know that these are integers and this part is a multiple of 3. So this part has to be a multiple of 3. That is something you can do by writing it like this. 76 is 78 minus 2. Okay. And this is 6x minus 6x plus x. Okay, so you basically, this is a multiple of 3, this is a multiple of 3. So you know that you can simply write this as 78 minus 6x plus x minus 2. So you know that this part is a multiple of 3. So this part also needs to be a multiple of 3. And one possible way to make it a multiple of 3 is keeping x equal to 2. So if x is equal to 2, then this equation can be satisfied. Okay, so you find one value of x. Again, this is easy to do. If your trial and error will not work, this is much more easier to do. So x is equal to 2. So you place this x in the original equation. Okay, you place it here. So you see that 3y is equal to 66 in that case, and y becomes equal to 22. Okay, so this is how you get one solution, one single set of solution. Now, the next set of solutions is very easy to find. What you need to do is you need to simply change the values of x and y by the coefficient of the other one. For example, in this case, you need to change the value of x by the coefficient of y, which is 3. So you can make it 5, for example. Or if you do that, the value of y will change by the coefficient of x. So it will be reduced by 5. And I'll tell you why it will be reduced. You can ask that y cannot be increased by 5. The simple reason is, you see there is a plus sign over here. So you are increasing the value of x by taking it from 2 to 5. So you need to decrease the value of y to balance the effect, because the sum needs to be a constant, which is 76. It can only be a constant if you decrease another entity when you're increasing the other entity. If it was a minus sign instead of plus, I would have increased both of them or decreased both of them. Okay, so remember to change the value of one variable with the coefficient of other, and that's how you can do it. Sameet, yes, you are right. If had x and y not positive integers been not there, then you cannot answer the question for sure, because then multiple infinite possibilities that exist. So constraints are definitely important. So I can continue on doing that. I can again increase it by 3, and you can reduce this by 5. Increase it by 3, reduce this by 5. Increase it by 3 and reduce this by 5. If I go any further, I will start getting negative values of, my bad. Wait, guys, did I do it right? I'm reducing it by 5. Yes, minus 3 itself. Yeah. So I will start getting negative values, which will not make sense. Okay, because this is not possible. Y and x can only be positive. So if you look at the possible values of x, there are 5 possible values that exist. So the correct answer in this case is choice. Let me see. What were choices? Yeah, choice C is the correct answer, which I'm happy to see that about 43% of you marked. Those of you who did not consider the constraints or thought that, okay, one equation is not going to be sufficient, would have marked the wrong answer. Okay, so it's important for you to understand and learn the right method. And this is the method that we have taught in our course in depth in the equations part. Okay, now this is something which many people don't do. When you actually get stuck with your timing, what you need to understand is you are not learning the right method for the question solving at the right time. What we do generally as students is, we will learn the concepts and then we will just jump into solving questions without looking at the right method of solving questions. And in the ideal state, the correct way of learning is different. But most people just learn concepts and then move to practicing questions, and that's why they end up repeating the same mistakes and they get stuck in the score range. If you want to actually get to a 700 plus method, Kareem, the easiest way to, Kareem is asking, how do I know all the methods to solve all quant questions on GMAT? And the easiest way to do that is look at the GMAT Wiz course. Because at GMAT Wiz, whenever we teach you a concept, we teach you the right methodical approach to solve the question right away for every different variety of question that can come your way. And then only you go to the next step, which is the practicing question phase. And to help you learn the second stage, this mastering a methodical approach stage, we came up with the idea of the concept booster. What is the concept booster? What we do for every single topic is that we give you a set of video lectures to teach you the concepts first, okay? For every topic. For example, prime numbers. We teach you all the concepts, all the formulas, all the rules through detailed video lectures. There may be 1, 2, or 3 video lectures on each topic depending on the complexity. But after the video lesson, that is, video lesson is basically the step 1 that you see over here, okay? The second step is the concept booster, where the magic happens. What we have done in the concept booster is we give you only one question at a time to solve. We don't give you multiple questions. We just give you one question at a time to solve. And the reason why we do that is because right when you solve one question, the method that you followed is very fresh in your mind. Just like the webinar that is happening right now. I'm giving you one question and then we are looking at the solution. Why are we doing that? Because when I analyze the solution right after you have solved the question, you're able to see the difference between our methods and learn from it. So what we do is, after the question, we give you a detailed methodical solution which tells you the right method, also all the traps that GMAT can set up for you and why you could lead to different answer choices. So you have to analyze the solution. Even if you're a GMAT student, it doesn't mean that you have got a question right and you will just move to the next question. Please don't do that. Please make sure that you analyze the solution and match your methodology with the method being there, because the reason the concept booster is there is to teach you the right method as well, not just to give you questions to practice. Please make sure that you analyze the method, and when you analyze the method and the solutions properly, you're able to figure out the gaps in your application. It is becoming very, very easy after that for you. And the good point about the concept booster is each question is handpicked and covers a different aspect. So when we do create a concept booster quizzes, it is not like we take up random questions. So for example, if it's on prime numbers, we do our own research to identify that, okay, how many questions are there on prime numbers? So let's say there are X questions which have ever appeared on prime numbers, on official guides, on mocks and all. We categorize these into various error types. That what are the most common error types? How can we classify them? Because some questions have some common aspect in it. So we came up with 10 category of question types. In the concept booster, you will have one question from each of these categories for sure. So each question is handpicked and it will definitely take up a different aspect altogether. Okay, guys, so Govindam is saying he cannot hear me. I just want to be sure because I'm not seeing anyone else saying that. So can you guys hear me? Please respond in the poll if you guys can hear me loud and clear. Quickly respond in the poll. I see a good number of people saying yes, a good number of people saying no. So if people are saying yes and no both, it means the network problem is at your end possibly. Yeah, so I'm ending the poll. So please try to rejoin the webinar. It helps at times. Okay, so the concept boosters will help you learn this. So methodical learning is what we follow through our course content. Now let's talk about another pain point that people have. Like many people struggle because they end up not studying some concepts. They feel that, okay, there are certain concepts which they are not good with. For example, let's say some people are not good with permutation combination. Some people are not good with coordinate geometry. Some people are not good with functions. In fact, first two topics, I myself was struggling as a student when I was studying for the test for the first time. I really struggled with these two areas initially. So many people actually, what they decide to do is they decide to not study them at all. They leave those topics unanswered and then they focus on the other ones. Please don't do that, guys. Please never do that, because that's not the right strategy if you understand the adaptable algorithm. The first 10 questions matter a lot on the GMAT. And the good thing about GMAT is that generally in the first 10 questions, you will be having easy and medium questions, maximum medium high questions. They won't be as difficult as the ones which will come later on. So what I recommend from my side is, for every single topic, you need to build the skill to at least get a easy and medium level question correct, at least the easy and medium level, if not all the difficulty levels. That is something which is very, very critical, guys. Please make sure that you do it. Don't underestimate the importance of any particular question or topic in the test. It's very important that you give enough time to at least get the easy and medium questions right. Okay, and I want to just show you very quickly about a data point of the importance of first 10 questions. You look at these two students, you look at the ESRs of these two students, both of them have identical performances in the last 3 quarters. Identical performances in the last 3 quarters, no differences whatsoever. The only difference that is there is that this student got one extra question wrong in the first quarter. And you see the difference in score, 48 versus 50. This is 20 points overall. This has an impact of 20 points on your overall score. So this could be a difference between a 700 and a 720. This could be a difference between a 720 or a 740. And this could be a difference between an admit and a reject as well. and all because you did not get the first few questions correct. So please make sure that you get all the concepts covered, at least to the easy and medium difficulty level. Now, in order to do that, you need to identify your concepts gap. So if you are a GMAT student, you can easily do that from the dashboard. You can actually go to Viz in-depth analysis, select number properties, any individual module, and then click on any other module that you want to see. It will show you which areas are to be improved. You will see them over here right away on your screen for every single area one by one. All you need to do is work on these areas from the course. And in fact, if you want to get a lot more in depth, you can just click on the show more button, which you can see on the bottom below this particular area. It will even show you your accuracy across difficulty levels. You can see your accuracy across difficulty levels. At least work on those areas for sure, in which you are not getting the 600 or 500 level questions right. Those are very, very critical for you to work on your concept gaps. It's very important that you do that. Okay. And how do you work on your concept gap? The idea is to learn the concepts from scratch. For that, you can go through the video lectures that we have on our portal. The second step is to get the expertise in easy and medium questions. Don't worry about the hard questions at that point. Just focus on easy and medium questions. You can do that from the Quizard also. Even from the course questions, you can just focus on the easy and medium and get them correct. And once you feel confident about them, then only move to hard question if the time permits. And I'm talking about your weak areas. I'm not talking about every topic, but at least for the weak areas, make sure that you have the capability of getting the easy and medium questions right. That is something which you definitely need to do. Okay. So is this part clear to all of you guys? Quick yes, no over here. I've been doing a monologue from quite some time. So just want to ensure that this part is clear to all of you guys. Quick yes, no guys over here. Is this part clear to all of you? Okay, let's see some responses. Okay, I see yes. Almost all of you saying yes. Only one person, I guess, is saying no. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to take it up. Okay. So let's move forward. So this was about conceptual gaps. Now let's look at how to pace yourself. Like a little bit about the test taking strategy, how you can take it. So again, you need to pace yourself in the right way on the test. And the pacing is very, very important. Many people go too fast or too slow. For example, if you see this student, he went too fast over here. He did give the right amount of time here, but again, he went too fast over here and here as well. The score was not good enough. You can see a lot of mistakes in all the areas. On the other hand, this student ended up spending too much time on the initial quarters, not having enough time for the last few questions. So you have to pace yourself right. That's very, very important. And I'm going to tell you about the timing strategy a little in this part now. So if I divide the test into 4 quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, this is the average time that you should be spending on each of these quarters, approximate times. Again, this is just an average, which I'm saying, because in the first quarter, generally the question difficulty level, if you're going in the right direction, will be medium to medium hard. In the second quarter, it will be medium hard to hard. In the third quarter, it will be hard to very hard. And the last quarter, it is definitely very hard. So see, last quarter is important in quant. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's not as important as the first 3. So you can probably, even if you're not able to solve 1 or 2 questions, you can just guess them towards the end, but try to focus on for the first 3 quarters much more importantly. So the idea over here is when you're practicing, devote the right amount of time for each difficulty level. And this is something which should naturally happen. If the question is hard, you will definitely take some extra time to get the question right. Okay. If the question is easy, you will solve it quickly. So you have to make sure that you divide the time accordingly. And also identify your comfort areas and be selective right from quarter 3. If you have spent a lot of time on questions from uncomfortable area. For example, in my case, I'm not very comfortable with circles and triangle related questions on geometry specifically. So from the third quarter onwards, if I saw a triangle related question and I've spent already 2 minutes on it, I have no clue where I'm headed, I would rather mark a random answer and move ahead. But that's something which you need to do. Okay. Rutvi, you should not miss any question in the end. You should mark at least guess something, because getting something incorrect is not penalized as heavily as not attempting it. So at least attempt everything. And if you have to guess, do it as late as possible in the test or for your uncomfortable areas. But that to make sure that you're giving at least some time. And don't take simple questions too lightly. Sometimes some questions which look simple cannot be as simple. So especially the DS ones, there's a tendency of missing cases of falling for traps. So please don't rush through the questions if you find it simple. And in case you know 2 methods to solve a question, use them for medium questions. So I use this. I was a good student in Quant. I used this strategy in the first quarter, where if I knew 2 methods to solve a question, I will double check the questions very quickly to make sure my answer is right, because I was able to solve a good number of questions in 30-40 seconds. So I could afford giving 30-40 seconds more by trying another methodology. So you can do that if you want to. Okay, now that brings up to the end of the webinar. So I'm quickly going to summarize what we discussed today. So the first step that you need to do is work on areas where concept gap lies. So if you have concept gaps, I told you how to identify them. At least get 100% accuracy in easy and medium questions. The second step basically after this is that you need to learn the right methodology to solve topics where you are spending excess time. So as we discussed earlier, if you're taking extra time to solve a question, that means the method that you're using for solving the question may not be as accurate. So you need to improve your methodology. How do you improve your methodology? You improve your methodology by going through the concept boosters on GMAT Quiz. And you can do that by going through the course content. And this is simply how you can do it. If you don't know where your concept gaps are or your application gaps are, you can take a couple of tests on each module, number properties, algebra, and so on, and classify the topics into 2 groups. If a topic falls in group number 1, where your score is less than 70%, work on both your concepts and application. If it falls under the group where your score is greater than 70%, then build the right application skills. And after this is done, then only you should practice external tests to improve timing across difficulty levels. And to summarize our discussion that we learned, no mistakes are silly mistakes. These are just excuses. You need to identify the root cause. It's most likely that you're not reading the question stem properly, or missing constraints, or not inferring from the information being provided. And deep dive, that's very important. And focus on improving the skills on each question that you solve. Okay, so that was pretty much about it. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me on my email ID, on my WhatsApp number. One student was asking that I was trying to book a call with you, Piyush, but I don't see a call slot available tomorrow. I don't have any slot available tomorrow. I have only slots available on Monday. All the other slots are taken up, Aman. Sorry, I cannot help you with that. But yeah, if anyone else also wants to schedule a discussion with me, I'm gonna just share my discussion link over here. You can schedule a discussion. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to ask me. And there's one more announcement that I would like to make. Since we are approaching the end of month, tomorrow is basically the last day of January, we are actually announcing our end of month sale, where we are providing you the access to our online prep course, complete online prep course for a special fee of $219 only. So you can do this at a very special price of $219. So please feel free to look at it. It's available on our website itself. So Aman, as I answered your question, I don't have any slots available tomorrow. You have to wait till Monday to discuss with me. So please schedule a call using the link which I have provided for Monday. All the slots tomorrow are already occupied. Okay, so I don't see any other questions in the polls chat here as well. So it was great interacting with you guys. All the best for your prep. I hope the webinar was helpful. You guys got a good idea about how to improve your verbal quant score in the last few days before the test, or even if you're starting your prep, you at least got to know which areas you need to focus on. So all the best for your prep, and feel free to reach out to me. I'm again flashing my contact details on your screen. You can take a note of it. These are my contact details. You can get in touch with me later on also if you want to. All the best, guys. Thank you, Ricky. I'm happy to know that you found the webinar helpful. Thank you so much. All the best, guys. Bye-bye.